Hello and welcome to WJTS in.form. In this edition of WJTS in.form, we're going to talk about youth mental health first aid training, which is coming up this week. And joining us in the studio, we're very honored to have with us Janet Schnell. She's the coordinator, amongst many different things. She's the coordinator for Substance Abuse Council today when she joins us. We also have with us Faren Levell, and Faren is the Director of Behavioral Health at Memorial Hospital and Healthcare Center. Welcome to both of you. First of all, we're going to direct the question at Janet to talk about, I guess, the event itself. What is the Youth Mental Health First Aid Training Day?
Youth Mental Health First Aid Training Day is this Friday, and the training will take place from 9 until 5:30 Jasper time, and we are meeting at WJTS in the new classroom building, which is the one to the right at the top of the hill by the administration building in the lecture hall.
Is this something someone can just show up for, or do you need to know ahead of time?
We really need to know ahead of time because you will come away with this really nice book for training, and you also get a certificate for training, but we also need to do a lunch count to see if you're interested in having lunch. So it's best for you to register ahead of time.
Okay, and how do they register?
It will be on the bottom of the screen with Janie Chappell in Evansville, Indiana. She actually takes all of our registration information.
Okay, so we're really cutting it close. You don't have a whole lot of time to register, so get registered right away if you'd like to go. I guess my next question is, who should go?
Anyone 16 years and older. People who are interested in, who are working with youth, so peer mentors or any other service organization that mainly works with our youth in the Dubois County area. We're looking for people who have a vested interest in making sure our youth are mentally healthy and to be able to identify any kind of problems that they may have.
Okay, now we'll come back to that to recap again when the day is and things like that. But Faren Levell, let's talk about what are some of the issues that will be discussed at the first aid training. What are issues with youth today? I guess that's a wide open question.
Well, it's tough. I mean, growing up today is a lot different than growing up years ago. And our youth are bombarded with a lot of stimulus and things that they have to deal with that we didn't have to deal with today, or that we had to deal with years ago. Mm-hmm. But mental health has always been an issue forever, actually, and we've all wanted our children to be mentally healthy. And exactly what does that mean? When do you need to take somebody in to be evaluated, or when does the school counselor need to be involved, or those type of things? This is what information will be presented at this training. They will kind of alert people to some clues and be able to identify the changes of behavior that may indicate that something's going on, that some early intervention.
So this training is not so much what to do, it's how to recognize it?
Well, first of all, you got to recognize it before you do that. But then it's kind of knowing what you should do, what possibly is going on. What are some of the symptoms of that somebody may be having problems, like with younger children. You know, a lot of times they will have some behavior changes. They may have stomach aches or headaches or some school phobias or those type of things. When they get a little older, it's a little harder to address because we all know teenagers kind of start going their own way and doing their own thing. And what is actually abnormal with teenagers? It's really sometimes it's tough to decide. But those that are working with those individuals and are close to those individuals will pick up on things, those subtle changes, that their mood has changed, maybe their sleep patterns have changed, the school performances went down some, those type of things. Those are the kind of the triggers that maybe something's going on, and maybe somebody needs to talk with that individual.
Are we talking about, I'm not sure how to break this down, and if I'm wrong, tell me, is this dealing with mental health issues kids have, or could this be also substance abuse, or is that the same thing, or do they lead to the same thing? I'm not sure if I'm asking that question right.
Substance abuse problems are really good. It's a really good question, because what we see is that when they're coping poorly, they'll turn to substances. And it's not a secret here in Dubois County that alcohol is one of our biggest problems that we have. but there's been a new phase coming in with some of the synthetics that are coming into our community and can cause a lot of harm, which then goes back to the whole behavioral health. What is a change in their brain structure, and what other issues will come along with that?
Okay, now, Faren, we were talking off camera that actually a youth brain is physically different than an adult brain.
Yes, got to realize that the youth brain is a developing brain. It's not even reached its full potential until oftentimes in the mid-20s. So it's evolving and it's changing, and as the environment, the things that the child interacts with, deals with, if there are any substances, it has a big impact on that developmental brain as to how it develops and processes. Just because the child may interact with an adult pretty reasonably, that doesn't mean that the brain is fully mature and understands what's going on. And that's oftentimes, and it's easily correlated to the driving records of youth. Okay. And their experience is one aspect of it, but the other thing is the judgment. The judgment isn't quite there yet. The frontal lobes of the brain hasn't developed. So the decision making of when to pull out, how fast to go, how to have that judgment as to how to control the car is not quite there yet. And males tend to develop a little bit slower in that than females, and that's also why males have more wrecks at those times. So it's really how the brain is growing and developing. So what you want to do is have a brain that's getting all it can get at those developmental years, so it can be healthy.
Now, this first aid training, I guess, will address the point of how intrusive can you be in someone's life if you recognize or you think, because you know with a lot of teenagers, you think they've got mental health issues. They don't. They're just being kids. But how do you not overstep bounds, or should you overstep bounds? How do you say to yourself, I'm not going to get involved, but you should? Where does that go?
The best part about this training is we do role plays. So you're not doing it by yourself for the very first time. You're actually doing it through a role play, so you understand how to talk to people, to the youth, and the most effective way, but also then you have feedback from each other to how to discuss it. The earlier that you address the problem, the easier it is. If you wait to where they are so foggy-minded from substance abuse problems, it's harder to be able to even get correct answers from our kids. So again, the earlier that we address the problems, the better.
Okay. Faren, what might be the one thing that we probably overlook the most when we're dealing with the youth? I know the grades slipping might be one thing, but what's something that sometimes parents or teachers or those of us in the community overlook?
And this is just my personal opinion, I think one of the things we overlook is the sleep patterns. Sleep is very, very important for your brain functioning, your mood, your judgment, for adults as well as children. And because our world is changing so much, the sleep patterns have gotten smaller and smaller. And it's been reported over and over again that during adolescence, the child's circadian clock actually shifts, and they actually want to sleep later in the morning and stay up later at night. That's a normal biological functioning of the body. And so when we let them stay up later and then they have to get up earlier for school, it crunches the sleep. And so besides proper nutrition and getting exercise and those type of things, sleep, I think, is a very important thing that's overlooked.
I guess we ought to recap the day, date, times to get people involved.
Again, it's November the 7th, which is this Friday. We start at 9 o'clock in the morning at the VUJC Lecture Hall, which is in the new classroom building. And then we will end around 5:30. And registration, again, is at the bottom of the page. Just register as soon as possible because we really need to get the numbers so we know how many books to bring. And even for lunch, we need to call that in so that can be provided.
Okay, now we are late notice, and let's say somebody, they've obviously got plans for Friday, they can't make it. Will this be offered again?
That's a great question. If we have enough interest, yes, we'll bring it back again in 2015. And so we need to know if you'd be interested in the teen or the youth mental health first aid training or the adult mental health first aid training. Again, if we have enough interest, of course, we'll bring Janie Chappell and Kent Leslie back to our community to do that.
Okay, I was going to say, who actually does the presentation at the first aid training?
It's through Deaconess Cross Point in Evansville. And again, it's Janie Chappell and Kent Leslie are the two trainers.
Okay, is there anything else that either of you would like to add? There's probably a million things you can talk about. We don't have that kind of time. However, it's just important that people take advantage of this opportunity. Is there a cost?
There's no cost.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
there is one thing I'd like to add with
Sure.
this is this isn't for professionals, so to speak. This is for people out in the community, anybody that's dealing with youth that are concerned with their well-being and their health. And the fact of it is most individuals that get help along the way don't get it from a professional. They don't have to go see a psychiatrist. They don't have to go see a therapist. It's oftentimes the coach or a significant teacher or somebody that's significant in some Sunday school teacher, somebody like that. Somebody that's kind of a mentor that has a relationship with the child or the teen. And that's what's important is that person being able to know when there possibly some problems popping up and to be there for them and to listen, because most transitions in growing up are best dealt with somebody that's kind of a big brother or big sister or a coach or mentor that's helped the person along. Mm-hmm. So it's in a very natural environment that way. So I think this is really good for those individuals to come to listen to this and to improve their skills. Excellent. Thank you very much. Thanks to both of you for coming in.
Thank you.
We've had as our guest Janet Schnell. She is today the coordinator for the Substance Abuse Council. And also we've had Faren Levell. He is the Director of Behavioral Health at Memorial Hospital and Healthcare Center. We thank you for watching WJTS in.form. Remember, sign up right away if you would like to do the Youth Mental Health First Aid. Thank you for watching. We are local people watching Local People WJTS.